Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in at Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arens on the ones and twos. Going to go solo for an hour. We still got some student athletes out as we're getting things rolling here to start the new year 2026. Has been not the best of days out here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I think we do got a little chance of snow possibly later. So if you are driving, especially if you're going to be driving later at night, be safe. But you guys are welcome to join in for this hour. 402-464-5685. We do have the college football playoffs going on right now. You do got Miami starting to kick things off. We'll definitely dive into the college football playoffs, as well as a little bit more drama in the portal. You got some more stuff going on with Washington and their portal situation with Damon Williams and his agent. Some drama in there we'll want to get to. But as I said, you currently got the number 10 Miami Hurricanes facing number 6, the Ole Miss Rebels, and it is already 3-0. First quarter, 6 minutes, 22 seconds left to go. And I don't know how many people saw Ole Miss doing what they're doing, being able to get the upset over Georgia without their head coach, Lane Kiffin. It's been probably the best and worst case scenario for Ole Miss because Lane Kiffin's going to get a paycheck no matter how far those guys get. But it's kind of a testament. And you do want to credit Ole Miss. It's one of the more odd finals that we can have. And I know they're only down by 3 points right now, but if they can figure a way to pull off this upset, you're going to be looking at Ole Miss getting over some of the most improbable odds I've seen. It was a good team heading into it, but again, I don't know how many people seriously looked at this team that was going to be able to punch their ticket if they win this game all the way to the national championship. On the other side, we're still waiting for number 5 Oregon, number 1 Indiana. Obviously, that one is not till tomorrow. That is a 6:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff. You got the 5 Ducks, number 1 Indiana Hoosiers, and another improbable team in that one. Indiana, 0 5-stars on that roster. And I think only a handful of 4 stars. You look at everybody else in this that is not Tulane and not James Madison. The Indiana Hoosiers are breaking the blue chip ratio. And for everyone who isn't familiar with it, although I think most college football fan bases are at this point, blue chip ratio is essentially how many of your guys are 5 and 4 stars. And in years past, that has been a big measuring mark, is if your team can actually make it through the gauntlet. And 8 just gets to the college football championship. And now with the playoff bracket and an expanded, it still seemed to matter quite a bit. Indiana's breaking that. Again, 0 5-stars on that entire roster. And you got a team that looks like one of the best defenses as they, really dominant performance versus Alabama. If you can't run the ball, there's no shot that you were going to beat that Indiana team. And they double down on that by only allowing 3 points for Alabama and the DeBoer Crimson Tide without a run game whatsoever. They didn't stand a chance. And Indiana's offense still puts up numbers. They get 38 points in this one. I want to know who you guys got. In this game, I know it's already gotten going here between Ole Miss and Miami. And then, of course, tomorrow, 6:30 with the Oregon Ducks and the Indiana Hoosiers. 402-464-5685. Give me your college football playoff championship match. And then you can go ahead and tell me who you think is going to win. If you want to get crazy and put the spread on there, I'll go ahead and read it. But It's been nuts. Oregon, who didn't get talked about very much, they were the only undefeated team last season throughout the regular season. And then, of course, they get the bye, and then they get upset by Ohio State. Ohio State goes on to win the national championship game. And then they've been pretty quiet. No one's really talked about Dan Lanning in that Oregon Duck team very much at all, despite still having a really good regular season. I think Dante Moore, when you look at, the quarterbacks in this year's class, he's certainly up there. I think you like him more than Simpson. And, it's probably Mendoza, number one, unless you feel strongly about Dante Moore, but he's right up there. And no one's really talked about them a whole lot. They've been one of the quiet best teams in college football this year. And despite that, they got a majority. Well, no, I should say majority. They got a large group of guys hitting the portal, which is another crazy part of these college football playoff experiences that we watch today. Is I know yesterday the number was 13. It might have even gone up from there, and I have to double check. But they have 13 guys that are in the middle of the college football playoffs. They're in the semifinals. They play tomorrow, and you got 13 guys hitting the portal on that roster. And it's kind of similar to Ole Miss, where even if that team goes on and they're technically not on it because they're in the portal, they're still going to get a ring, I'd imagine. They're going to get all the benefits, all the rewards of being on a championship team, despite hitting the portal before that team even got to the championship. So there's some weird, squirrely things still happening in these college football playoffs. We're seeing it more and more where you just want to focus on the games, but in the middle of the college football playoffs, we're getting portal news left and right. I know in Nebraska, we got another guy today who I'll dive into later. He's on his fifth stop. 5 schools, 5 Big Ten schools at that. And now he's a Nebraska Cornhusker. These are the kinks that have to get ironed out to make this a better product. I think the college football playoff has been great in terms of the viewing experience. No one's going to complain about more games. I know some people want to expand the playoffs. I think it's fine the way it is. I mean, you could argue, well, Notre Dame got left out. Maybe you don't think Miami shouldn't have been there. How much more do you want to spread this thing out? I don't want to get to a point to where we say we go to 18 games, which some people want to go as high as that. Some people want to go to 32. You don't want these college football playoffs to drag out forever. March Madness is its own animal. And it's always been that way, and there's been some fun with it, and there's the chaos in it. That's kind of their brand. The college football playoffs does not need to get into that same territory. And my fear is all the TV deals, we're just going to keep pushing that number up year by year till we get to a point where we have like 32 teams in the college football playoffs, when in reality, we'll get there and we'll circle like 5 teams maybe that we actually believe can do it, sitting in a 32-team playoff bracket. Basketball's a little bit different. Like when you get to March Madness, the best example I always go back to is the first 116 seed upset. It was the Golden Retrievers. Blanking on the university. It was the Golden Retrievers versus number 1 Virginia. And it was a very improbable upset, but they were red hot from 3. And they were able to pull off an upset because they were just shooting the ball that well that day. And on the flip side, Virginia was getting a little bit flustered due to the electric offense. And they started maybe taking some shots too early, not playing their brand of basketball, and they were able to pull off the upset. In football, the odds of that happening are so much less. I mean, the physicality of the game sets a huge marker. Go look at Tulane and Ole Miss. Even on Tulane's best day, they're not going to win that game. They just do not have the physicality to even compete. James Madison, a little bit of a different story. They made a fight in the second half, but you can make the argument, well, Oregon, maybe they laid down. They kind of started coasting there at the end, took their foot off the gas, and even then, it wasn't enough for James Madison. So for as impressive as they looked in the second half, they were still quite a bit a ways from catching Oregon. And that's in the 12-team playoff bracket. If we bring this thing out to 32, we're going to get a lot of meaningless games. And that's the part that, again, if you want more games, you can have that argument. More football is always good. I still want to have meaningful games when we get to postseason. I don't want the postseason to be a participation trophy. We're already kind of seeing it now with some of these teams refusing, to schedule some of these opponents. Nebraska, for instance, refused to schedule Tennessee. So if you want to bump it to 16 and hope for that to go away, maybe. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't want to go down that road where we just start to belittle the regular season even more. Because if we open this thing up to 32 teams, I mean, we can have some regular season games where dudes are just resting players, knowing that they got their spot already in, and who cares about the last regular season game. And at that point, I'd imagine if you brought it out that far, you're eliminating the conference championship games. That's the other part you have to remember. And the bowl games that I know they got a little bit more love this year than years prior. The Pop-Tart Bowl's become a fan favorite. This year was more of the same with BYU versus Georgia Tech. Awesome bowl game. If you stretch that thing out to 32, do you put the bowl games in there within those 32 playoff bracket or the 18 or the 16, whatever you end up landing on? You have to restructure a lot of the postseason if you're going to break that thing out even more. This, to me, is as big as it should ever get. Maybe you could convince me on 16, but I like the way it is right now. So as it sits right now, again, you do got the semifinal, first game in the finals, number 10 Miami Hurricanes versus Ole Miss, seated in there. Number 6 Ole Miss, I should verify. And it's still 3-0, 5 minutes left to go here in the first half. And then tomorrow, Oregon and Indiana. All right, I want to get to this transfer portal drama, though, with Damon Williams in Washington. So for everyone who's unfamiliar with that story, I'm sure they talked about it throughout the day as well. He has parted with his agent, or I should say his agent parted with him. It has been just chaotic. So Damon Williams, he's technically on contract for Washington. He has his name on ink. He's committed. And he apparently went rogue, according to his agent, on going back and signing another NIL deal with New School and deciding to transfer out. But in reality, there was no paper in place from the university received for that to happen. And then you have his agent went on there and kind of separated himself from him. If I get his direct quotes, because I don't want to paraphrase him here. Hendrickson, who also represents the Washington coach, Jed Fish, said the decision was due to philosophical differences in his statements over the incident. He also goes on to say Damon is an incredible talent, and he wish him and his family the best in the future endeavors. Samuel reported that Westman had been blindsided by Williams' decision to transfer after helping him negotiate the 1-year, $4 million contract to stay at the University of Washington for 2026. Samuel also reported any outreach from Williams' camp interested schools did not come from the agency. Washington continues to pursue all legal avenues to, quote, to protect our institution. The University of Washington spokesperson told the Seattle Times on Wednesday, University of Washington's boilerplate name, image, and likeness, NIL, license agreements say the university is not obligated to enter a player's name in the transfer portal or help facilitate a transfer. The University of Washington had not entered Williams' name in the portal as of Wednesday. Additionally, legally enforcing the NIL license agreement means that University of Washington's retains possession of Williams' NIL rights, the same rights any school will be paying him for, since the license agreements specify they are not employment contracts. A bizarre situation. I don't know who to necessarily believe in this one. You have his agent saying that he had to cut ties with Damon Williams. Maybe Damon Williams really did go rogue there. I thought initially that his agent was the guy maybe pushing him to other schools, but the agent actually kind of came back on that and made it public that this was not his decision, that this was Damon Williams deciding to go out there on his own interest. I'm sure he had probably some people in his ear, or at least contacting him about some deals. But like it says right there, the University of Washington never put his name in the portal. They have his NIL rights for the 2026 season. Interestingly enough, obviously Damon Williams, he's going to lawyer up, and he's lawyering up with the same guy that got Nico Iamaleava out of Tennessee to UCLA at the very beginning. Well, I should say before the season started, but not far from the season starting. So interesting company for Williams to be surrounding himself with the guy who got Nico Iamaleava legally out of Tennessee down to UCLA. This is not the college sports that people want to watch. And I don't want to blame it on the kids, because I think that's the easy thing to do, is say these kids don't have, the respect that maybe they should, or the desire to really grind it out, stay on a team. When I know most people, even if you're a really great person, if you have the opportunity to just go to a new city in America, and with every new city you go to, you get all new gear. They're probably giving you a place to stay. If you're that high of a talent, we're talking $1 million just to go to a new place. Maybe some car deals. Maybe you get a new car. a nice loft apartment, and especially if you're going to a place like, say, Minnesota. Yeah, there's some deals out there to get in a big city, and you can go kind of travel the world and make millions of dollars while doing it, and just go to a new school every single year. There's no rules stopping them from doing that right now. They can sign individual contracts that maybe change those, but the way it sits right now, there's nothing stopping these student athletes from going to a new university every single year. And you get to some points where some of these guys we're going to 5, 6 universities before they're done. I know me and Raph talked about it yesterday. It's kind of unbelievable that some of these guys will go to university, and you can call them student athletes, but the people recruiting those players, I don't think they necessarily care a whole lot about the student part, because you will see a lot of guys leave these universities despite going to 5 different ones without a degree in anything, not even undergraduate. So that's the part where I don't like, when they just kind of lie and say student athlete, because some of these universities know damn well the student part is an afterthought. They want the product on the field or on the court, on the pitch, whatever sport they're playing. And as long as they're passing and not failing, that's good enough. They're not necessarily overly concerned if they get their degree at the end, as long as they're passing their classes while they're in that athletic program. That's not everyone. I don't want to put every university and lump them all together, but it's certainly true with some. And it's a downright tragedy to college sports. And again, it is not the kids' fault. Some of these adults in the room have to start acting like adults and putting out an outline of what really matters. Every university has a mission statement, and a lot of those mission statements have academics very high up on there on the board. If your academics are high up there on the board, then you cannot just willfully take guys and not really care if they get their degree or not, or tell them it's a good idea to transfer to your school, knowing very well that if they do, there's going to be a bunch of classes that aren't going to transfer over, that they're going to have to take extra classes to make up for the classes that did not transfer over. And again, we're talking like, if it's a kid with 5 universities, I don't know how many majors he has. If he switched majors a bunch of times, because say he was a major in this school and then he transferred. Again, I'm not saying that these are the schools that are guilty, but we'll just say from Michigan to Oregon. Well, he switched his major between Michigan to Oregon, and Oregon doesn't quite have the same classes or the same courses available for said major. Okay, so I got to switch it here. Now he goes to Washington. Washington does have the same major available, but the way we structure it, the classes are a little bit different. So you have to pass classes X, Y, and Z, and then you can move on. Okay, well, you get those done, but then you move on to the next school. That's the part where in these mission statements, I don't want to hear for some of these universities talking about how academics are highly important, when flat out you see it on a lot of these athletic rosters, they're not. Otherwise, you would be make it a very big deal that they go get their degree, or at least be part of the conversation at the very least. And I do want to pull up Lincoln's mission statement just to kind of get the point that I am trying to make here. So if you go to the University of Nebraska and you go to their mission statement, they have the role of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln as the primarily intellectual and cultural resource for the state, fulfilled through the 3 missions of the university: teaching, research, and service. The university pursues its missions through their colleges of architecture, arts, sciences, businesses, education, human sciences, engineering, Hickston Lied College of Fine and Performing Arts, journalism and mass communication, law, university-wide graduate college, and the Institute of Agricultural and Natural Resources, which include the College of Agriculture, and it goes on and on and on. We get a long time before we get to anything about sports, and that's the point I'm trying to make. If you're going to be a university and that is going to be the mission statement you stand by, you have to participate in it. You cannot say one thing and your actions show something completely else on the field. And again, I don't want to blame the kids on this. If you have an opportunity to make $1 million at every stop you get, I can see why that's awfully attractive. That's a deal that in my youth, I'd probably take. Why wouldn't I? If I was a 5-star athlete and you're telling me I could make $1 million a year, and then I maybe up my talent a little bit, now I can make $2 million. For instance, 3 months ago, Williams on Nebraska's roster, and I'm not blaming this kid at all. He probably got a lot of money somewhere else. It's up to him if he wants to take it, because the adults in the room are putting that money on the table for him to possibly take. But we had Williams, who did not have a scholarship, I think 4 months ago. And he has a big game. Troy Dannon brings him in. You can see the post on X. I believe it's still out there. And they have a big hoorah and let him know, hey, you're on scholarship. You don't have to pay for school. Now, he probably had some money, obviously, already coming his way being on the football team, but that's still a big deal to get school paid for. School is not cheap. For anyone who is, I'd say 30 or under and wasn't a stellar student, by that, I mean, if you're going to the University of Nebraska Lincoln, I know my ACT score, they weren't going to give me, hardly any money to cover the actual cost. I think you probably need to be batting 32 or up. I could be wrong. Maybe it's less than that. But to get some serious money to pay for your school, and even then, it's not all paid for. It's expensive. So if you don't have all those perks, a lot of you people who have college degrees, hopefully you have a good job that's helping pay for it, but probably have some student debt that they're still working off. And it's a big deal. So to have Williams, rightfully so, well-deserved, you don't have to pay for school anymore. And he's in the transfer portal. There's no real loyalty there anymore. And it's not his fault that he doesn't show that loyalty, but it is just kind of the era of college football we're in. And I don't think it's a good direction. We can pay these kids money and still have rules in place. What's wrong with the transfer rule? I don't know why we can't just go back to that. Every kid gets one transfer free on the house. If you want to transfer, no repercussions. You can go anywhere you want if they'll take you. Second time around, I think we need to put a rule. You cannot transfer again unless a coach gets fired or, a case by case. You can have some unique situations. Say a kid finds a fancy in a certain major, or he gets really into a certain subject in school and he really does want to major in it. Maybe he wants to be a doctor or something. Okay, let me go to a school that's actually going to suit that better. I love the sport of football, but I'm really starting to love this as well. Okay, fine. Bring it to the committee, set up a committee, whatever you want to call it, the transfer committee, and you can do case by case. Yes, he gets approved because that is not necessarily for money. That is for education. Perfect. We can allow that. Even though the coaches didn't get fired, we'll allow that second transfer. I'm not saying you have to be super strict on it, but some guardrails would be ideal because I kind of started with the college football playoffs to highlight that, yes, the games are starting tonight, and you got one more tomorrow at 6:30 with Oregon and Indiana, but also to highlight Oregon has multiple dudes that are in the college football semifinals hitting the portal. It's not their fault. It's the adults in the room. Again, I have to keep going back to that. The coaches have done it forever. Now the players are doing it. You have over 30% of college athletes in football hitting the portal. And a very large chunk of those athletes do not find a new home. And that oftentimes turns out to sometimes not even going back to the university and just dropping out altogether. Sometimes they will. They'll stick it out and they'll grind it through, but now they are actually paying for their degree. They're not on a roster and they're just going to school. And their dreams kind of falling apart right in front of them. That's the danger we're in. And that's why I think these mission statements matter when we're talking about these universities. If that is your mission statement, you have to be looking out for these kids in the best way. And I just feel like that a lot of the adults in the room are not doing that. And it's not the NCAA. It's really easy to pick on the NCAA and say they need to be better. They need to do X, Y, and Z. We can talk about the conferences as well. The Big Ten and SEC. Those guys bully their way around. There might be a reason why the NCAA hasn't really fought anything. I mean, just go through all the court cases as of late with the NCAA and rack up all the losses they took in court. Who do you think is going to be able to afford the better lawyers? The NCAA or the Big Ten or the SEC? Especially if you put the Big Ten and SEC together. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of the courts today is how much money do you have to afford the best lawyers? And if this court case drags out, how much money can you keep giving these lawyers until you bleed out dry with money, or until the boosters say, I don't have that much more money to give for said, financial or legal reasons. These are major things. And the NCAA gets a lot of the heat on it. And I personally have gotten on those guys a lot. And I think they deserve a lot of the heat that they've gotten. Them dragging their feet on paying student athletes has led to a lot of this. But now the Big Ten and SEC, and I just referenced those two because I think those are by far and away the biggest and the most financially rich. They have kind of been bullying college football in these last renditions of these rule changes. They're getting their way. And the NCAA, I think, is just kind of not fighting anymore. We talked about yesterday, it's been said 100 times when we talk about the transfer portal and NIL and college football. Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, good luck getting it back in. And unfortunately, that's kind of where we are. And it was never the students and the athletes that did this. It was the presidents, the universities, the conferences, and the NCAA all together. And making a bunch of selfish decisions that only serve the purpose of making more money and not the education or better development of just human beings at the youth level. That's where I think the biggest stink in all of this is. And a lot of people will bat their eye and say, well, you just don't want to pay the student athletes. No, that's not what people are saying. People are saying that you still want to develop men or women, because it goes on obviously to the women's side of things as well. It does no one justice to just have no guardrails whatsoever and a bunch of kids who are innocent but inexperienced when it comes to making these major life-altering decisions. Some of these agents and some of these coaches and some of these universities will be good, and they will give good advice, the right advice, and they will be honest. But we also know in the past, some of these coaches, presidents, universities will not be honest. They will say whatever they need to get that athlete in their door so they can have a better chance at, whatever record, whatever championship down the road. Those are the problems with college football and a lot of college sports today. You see it with some of the European players who they go pro in Europe because they don't have, we funnel here in the U.S., obviously, a lot of our guys through college. The G League was kind of a thing for a little bit. You don't see that nearly as much anymore. But that's kind of the way we get our players to the league. In Europe, it's different. If they're playing really well, they'll end up on one of the professional European teams or wherever. It doesn't have to be Europe, but just Europe as an example, because that's where we're getting a lot of these guys, the Jokic, the Luka, the Victor. They're coming from Europe, and they're playing on pro teams at a young age in Europe, and then they're going to the league. Well, now what you're seeing is you got these European players going to the pro leagues in Europe, going to the league. The league, tougher, not as good as I wanted. Maybe I didn't get drafted where I wanted. Why don't I just go back to college? And then they can reapply and go back to college after already being a quote-unquote pro in the NBA. That's backwards. That's another part where whoever those coaches are that are recruiting these kids, that's obviously a major conflict of interest. And you could definitely say that's unfair. All right, there's my quick rant on that. I'll get off on that. But in the meantime, Ole Miss looks like they're going to run one to the house. It is going to be 7-3 unless they miss the PAT. We got a good game, looks like, starting up here in the second quarter. 14 minutes, 50 seconds left to go. And Ole Miss just took the lead over Miami. No head coach Lane Kiffin. Doesn't matter. Ole Miss Rebels, they just ran it all the way in for a 73-yard rushing touchdown. 2 plays, 80 yards. This game might go down to the wire if it looks the way they do. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll go ahead, throw it to break. I'll talk a little bit of basketball on the other side. Again, I'm just going solo for not just this segment, 2 more segments after this right here, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket. Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstorats.com for amazing offers. And if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Call Bats to Rats today at 402-781-8691. That's 402-781-8691. Bats to Rats.
An emergency can happen any moment. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. At CHI Health, we stand ready to care for any emergency. Our specialists provide expert care when you need it most and believe healing is more powerful when delivered with human kindness. When seconds matter, Know CHI Health St. Elizabeth is accredited in stroke care and offers the region's only ER just for kids. Learn more at chihealth.com/St. Elizabeth Emergency.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The place you call home should always be a place of comfort. Warm and cozy in winter, cool and relaxing in summer. If your home isn't delivering the comfort you expect, call Bryant. It's more than just hot and cold to them. It's about providing the best comfort solutions. And Bryant gives you a full 24-month test drive on your home comfort system. Get full details at BryantLincoln.com or call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. Bryant, whatever it takes.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
From Chromebooks to whiteboards, today's classrooms are blending tradition with technology. Hi, I'm Tim Royers, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Learning is evolving, and public schools are helping students succeed in a digital world. Stay engaged, stay curious, and support your child's learning both online and off. Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. As promised, let's talk a little bit of hoops here. It's been a great one for college basketball this season. Obviously, for us, Nebraska basketball's 15-0. The men's side, the women, I believe they played tonight as well. Let me double check on women's Nebraska basketball because the women deserve a lot of credit as well. They've been awesome. They've lost a couple of games, but you look who they've lost to. They lost to a couple of ranked opponents, so it's not like they're some bad quad 3 losses. They got 2 losses. They're both quad 1. Nebraska women's basketball, yes, they're actually playing right now. They are currently leading Indiana at home. Number 25, women's team. Again, they are 13-2. They got a lead 36-24 over the Indiana Hoosiers. The Hoosiers currently 11-5. And let's see who's doing most of the damage so far for the Huskers. pretty spread around. Yeah, you really don't have any leading scores. Britt Prince, she's got 7. You got 7, 7, 5. Pata, you got a pretty balanced attempt right now. We'll get closer as this is only the second quarter. There isn't a whole lot official there. If I just go look at the stats, though, Nebraska is currently shooting the ball better at 50%. They are 15 of 30. They are 5 of 8 from 3. That's good enough for 62%. And they are 1 for 1 on the free throw line. The Hoosiers, again, early in the game, take it with a grain of salt. 47%, 11-23. They are 1 for 4 from the 3-point line and 1 of 2 from the free throw line. You can do easy math to figure out what their percentages are from 3 and from the free throw line. We're dominating in rebounds already. I know it's early, but 17 to their 10, and assists dominating there as well. 11 to their 4 steals. We have 0. They have 2, but we are pretty close on the turnover margin. We have 4 to their 5, and fouls and points of the paint are about the same. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Currently, the Huskers still leading it 36-28. And their next one will not be until Sunday this weekend. Well, they'll go on and take on number 4, UCLA. They got a little bit of a stretch here. So if you like the women's basketball team, keep an eye on them as they got number 4 UCLA this weekend. It is at home, but then they got to hit the road and they play Thursday against number 15 Michigan State. And then they get a little bit of break. Take it, Big Ten play. It's never a break, but they at least get out of those ranked battles again until they get back to number 19 Ohio State, and that is the first day of February 2026. Back over to men's. They're sitting, looking at the rankings. You can look at a few different ones, but they're about like 97% chance of shoe-in to make the March Madness tournament. It's crazy to be sitting here 8 days into the new year, and this team's got 15 wins. I feel bad for talking about like 20 wins should be the goal. I undersold these guys by a incredibly wide margin. 15 wins already. If you go look at Nebraska basketball and what they've done, they're currently 11 in the net ranking. Ken Palm's got them at 21. Ken Palm is not always the best indicator, but does give you the good stats on their offensive rating, defensive rating. You put those together, adjusted, they're sitting at about 21 in Ken Palm. And some of those games don't help where, yes, you're holding Michigan State to a really low score and you held Ohio State, but your offense also struggled. So that's kind of, despite staying undefeated, they actually went down in Ken Palm after their win versus Ohio State simply because the offense took a little bit of a hit there and their shooting percentages. But you got 5-0 in quad 1 wins. That's a statement in itself. 6-0 in your quad 4, which you'd love to see that. You need that. 1-0 in quad 3, and that was Florida International University Panthers. And then their quad 2 wins, Kansas State, Creighton, and Wisconsin. Quad 1 wins, Ohio State, Michigan State, Illinois, New Mexico. New Mexico's a good team, and that win keeps proving to be a better and better win for Nebraska. And then, of course, Oklahoma. And then your big ones are obviously Illinois, Michigan State, huge wins for them. So you're sitting there with 5-0 in the quad 1 wins, and that is a huge margin right there. And that's why I think a lot of people feel very confident about how this team can operate. The fact that you got 5 of those already and you're 5-0 in them, incredible. And then they have Indiana, tough road game. We talked about the road games yesterday. Winning road games in the Big Ten is tough. I don't care if you're the worst in the Big Ten or the best in the Big Ten. And for reference, I'll use Michigan and Penn State, who played yesterday. Michigan has been beating teams by 40 to 30 points pretty regularly within conference play, on the road, non-conference play. They had a ranked Gonzaga team, and I think they beat them by close to 40 points. And it's a good team. It's not like Gonzaga's a bad team. That's just how good Michigan's been. All that to say, yesterday they go on the road to play Penn State, Nittany Lions, and they just barely escape with a win and win by 2 points. The Penn State Nittany Lions are dead last of the Big Ten. And Michigan's looking as a favorite, not only in the Big Ten, but to win March Madness. And they almost lost to the worst Big Ten team yesterday, simply because they had to go on the road. And honestly, if Penn State had a little bit better of an out-of-bounds play to get that last shot off, it was a terrible last play. I don't know if the communication broke down or who made the mistake there, or if that's really what they wanted. It was just supposed to be a 1v1, but the guy could not get open and kind of just has to hoist a desperation 3 that didn't have much of a chance of going in. And of course it doesn't. And Michigan just barely escapes by the skin of their teeth with a win on the road. So I know people have been tweeting the matchup predictor that ESPN puts out. The matchup predictor, I will just say this much. It's not very good. It's never been very accurate. If you were to follow the matchup predictor for Husker football over the last, you could probably go last 5 years, we'd be talking about Nebraska like they're back. The matchup predictor has had Nebraska favored to win a lot of these games, and they just don't. Indiana Hoosiers are favored a lot by the matchup predictor, but I think they should be favored. I just not by that much. Because again, it sounds silly and to repeat so much, but especially if you don't watch a ton of college basketball. And for some people, I can't necessarily blame you if you didn't, because it's not like Nebraska basketball has been giving you a ton of reasons to watch since, a couple of years with Tim Miles, and then obviously with Fred Hoiberg. And if you're old enough, you can remember the Danny Nee era, which did have some good basketball times, but a big chunk of time, it wasn't worth watching. Unless you were a diehard fan or a sicko like myself, you'd watch it all just to get your heart broken. So if you're, just tuning in and you're looking at we're 15-0, Indiana, that's not going to be a problem. Well, it's on the road. Anytime it's on the road, I don't care how bad the team is. Again, that's why I used the Michigan-Penn State game from yesterday. Tough thing to do. And Indiana is a good team. They haven't really played anyone great. They've had their best teams they've played, the ranked opponents, they've lost them. Those are their 3 losses. But will probably be a little bit of a redemption chance for those guys to prove that they can get those quad 1 wins, or if they are going to keep losing them. So tough road game. Keep an eye out for that one. I do like the Huskers' chances to pull it off, but again, don't be surprised if Indiana's favored. And it doesn't mean that, wow, no one believes in Nebraska. It's like, no, that's just every Big Ten road game. That's just how it breaks down. It's why, Nebraska basketball has been so important to protect the vault, and why it's been such a good thing that Fred Hoiberg has done such an elite job when it comes to protecting home. Again, that's where that, incredible win where we took down number 1 Purdue happened on our court. You get to feed into that fire. It's a tough thing to do on those road environments. And it goes back to why that win versus Illinois on the road was that much more impressive. Teams don't do that. And if you're able to steal 1, that's all smiles and sunshine. If you're able to steal 2, you're feeling really good, which we did with Ohio State in Big Ten Conference. We steal this one versus Indiana. I don't like looking forward, but if you take that versus Indiana, that's 16-0. Then you get Oregon at home. You're probably looking at 17-0. Then you get Northwestern at home, at Northwestern. That'd be another tough one, but I don't think Northwestern is great. So I know road games, Northwestern might be favored, but that's probably the next hardest one in there. Then you got at Northwestern. You can win that one, 18-0, 19-0 versus Washington. We might be 20-0 if we stay clean walking in to a road game versus Michigan. That will be the game of the regular season game of the year, potentially, if they can pull that off and still be undefeated. And if they get to that 20 win mark already with a large chunk of Big Ten play to go yet, watch out. Lincoln, I don't know what Lincoln looked like in the 90s when the Husker football team was winning. I'd love to know what it looks like when the Husker basketball team is potentially 20-0. I don't like looking too far ahead, but that's why tomorrow matters a lot. If they win tomorrow, you start really looking at this team and saying, I don't know when they'll lose next, because then Michigan doesn't seem like an impossible task anymore if they can pull that one off. Really fun things to look forward to. And shout out Fred Hoiberg for making Nebraska basketball as good as it has been. Football has been disappointing, to say the least. I hope they get the right to ship there, and you can be high on their new hires and who they got in the portal when we'll kind of wrap up on that to end the show. But at the same time, the winter sports have been so good. The women's basketball team, shout out to the wrestling team. Go check it out Friday. Again, if you haven't been to a wrestling match, it's awesome. They did a lot. The platform is elevated now, so you got an elevated mat. It just looks a lot cooler. It makes for a much better viewing experience. They got the tunnel walk, and the tickets are cheap. You're not like breaking an arm and a leg. If you got a date or you want to take your kids to something, go to a wrestling match. The traffic isn't a nightmare. You potentially, I think for Purdue, you might be looking at like anywhere between 5, 6. Well, it's a Friday. I think it'll be nice. Maybe 7,000 on a good night. Oklahoma State was insane. I don't think you'll get those numbers, but their attendance has gone up. So it's an awesome viewing experience. It's not like getting out of football games or basketball games. Like, if you got a family and stuff, parking isn't a nightmare. Really fun thing to go to. And they're good. I just want to put it out there. Like, again, winter sports right now are just awesome here at the University of Nebraska. So I want to give them their due credit. Shout out to Go Big Red Captain. Tuning in as always. I want to take a weeknights. Don't go anywhere though. We'll throw it to break. We got one more segment. I'll dive into the portal. We got a new face in there. I'll talk about him next right here. 93.7 The Ticket.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The time is now. Lincoln Marathon and Half Marathon registration is now open, and prices are rising. The sooner you sign up, the less you pay. Set the goal, start training. Register now at lincolnmarathon.org. Race day is May 3rd.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Change begins with you. Join a weight loss medication study at Solarion and earn cash in the process. If you are 19 to 65 years old with excess weight to lose, you may qualify. Participants could earn up to $22,750 for their time. Study includes 1 2-night stay, 1 3-night stay, and 38 returns. Learn more at helpresearch.com/flamingo or call 866-213-2965. Weight loss not guaranteed.
Guys, a couple months ago, I told you how I lost 36 pounds by taking part in the 10-week challenge at Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Well, now after another 10 weeks, I'm down over 60 pounds and I'm feeling stronger than I can ever remember. Farrell's uses a trusted method that combines kickboxing, strength training, nutrition, and personalized coaching to set you up for success. The next 10-week challenge begins on October 1st, and you can join for half off by mentioning the ticket. Head to fxblincoln.com to learn more and join the 10-week challenge with Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping for 50% off.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyk Farm Outfitters. With the holidays behind us, our team is already looking ahead to the 2026 season. And to help you get ready, we're hosting our second annual expo at our location near Exeter, January 27th. The expo covers 8 topics that matter to your farm. We'll discuss fungicides in heavy disease environments, liquid systems for your planter and how to choose the right one, how Washington is viewing important ag topics, and much more. Don't forget to stick around afterwards for the happy hour. Check out BoykFarmOutfitters.com for more info, and we'll see you there.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
If you're a homeowner or a business owner, you have a lot of projects, and no one has an unlimited budget or time. Sunbelt Rentals makes all jobs less stressful with no need to purchase large equipment or hire a crew. You can do it yourself with rentals and everything from aerators and power rakes for spring yard work to stump grinders, concrete mixers, tile saws, and more. Check out their inventory in Lincoln, north of Cornhusker Highway on 56th Street, or online at sunbeltrentals.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Going to wrap things up here with the final segment. As promised, let's go through a little bit of transfer portal news. Went through the guys yesterday, but the Huskers added another one in Anthony Jones. And before I get to that, shout out Sam Hoiberg. I just saw that he's actually calling I think it's the radio call for the women's basketball game tonight. So You want to get Sam Hoiberg calling some basketball. He's doing that for this Indiana game. And currently they're still leading it. If I go back here, it is 38-30, Nebraska leading over the Cornhuskers or Nebraska leading over the Indiana Hoosiers in women's basketball. All right, let's get to Anthony Jones, edge rusher, 6'5", 265 pounds, transferred out of UCLA. He is added to the Nebraska football roster. But I do got to preface this, and this is not me picking on Anthony Jones whatsoever. This is why I kind of started the entire segment. This is not these kids are not the problem for the patterns that we see. But I do want to get through. So if you go to his timeline, you have 30 plus entries. Okay, that seems like a lot. He gets offered by law schools, obviously, fair enough. He takes an official visit to Texas, and then he commits to Texas in June of 12th, 2021, committed to Texas. But then he does take another visit on June 25th to Oregon. And on December 15th, he actually does decommit from Texas, commits to Oregon. And then on December 15th, officially signs with Oregon. Okay. April 26th, out of Oregon, hits the portal. And then he transfers to Indiana, May 15th, 2023. Fair enough. Okay. December 8th, 2023, hits the portal again. December 18th, 2023, he transfers to Oregon State. April 21st, 2024, before the season starts, transfers to Michigan State. April 16th, 2025, hits the portal. May 1st, 2025, transfers to UCLA. June 2nd, 2026, hits the transfer portal. June 8th, 2026, transfers to Nebraska. That's a lot. I mean, again, like, I'm not blaming him for this, but this is what I'm talking about. This is crazy. How is any coach supposed to put teams together if this is the patterns they got to do? And I have to keep saying this because people are going to think I'm attacking this kid. This kid's doing nothing wrong. He's making money, I'm sure. I'd imagine he's getting some money. It's NIL, fair enough. Go get yours. But this is crazy to have any sort of organization around this. That is 5 Big Ten schools. Like, that's a lot to try to manage and to try to keep your rosters together. Just going through that list, like, that is kind of what we're talking about with college football. So for everyone who thinks it's not that big of a deal, think if you were the head coach and, like, this is what you got to do every year. There has to be some guardrails in place. Otherwise, this is going to be the norm. It already kind of has become the norm. He is by far not the only one who's done this. He is part of a large contingency of players that have done this. And those players, I hope they get their degree. I hope they're being smart. Maybe Anthony Jones is doing a great job. Maybe he's going to go get his degree. I have no idea. I obviously didn't look at his academic side of things and how he's doing there. But maybe he's doing all right. You know, he could be like a Rink Mass case where he spent 3 years at Bradley, got his degree, and now he's going for a master's at Nebraska. Maybe he's got a degree or 2 already. That's awesome. I hope he does. If not, I hope he can get one here at Nebraska. But I just wanted to point that out. I mean, that is a lot. That is committing to a team and then decommitting in that same offseason and then going to another school, doing that twice, and then transferring out of all those schools regardless. Not because he's a bad person or, you know, he's selfish or whatever you want to say, but because that is what the adults in the room put on the table for him. And if you can go make $1 million just going to a new school or you know, putting your name in the hat and just seeing what offers come by, that is the college football that we are putting forward for everyone. And no one's saying it's good. No one's saying that these kids are bad. People are just saying, let's have a little bit of structure to it. Because you can't tell me that's the best thing for a majority of student athletes. Maybe it works out. Maybe some of these student athletes got really good people around them and they're disciplined and yeah, they're going to multiple universities, but they're keeping it in line with what they want out for their education. And they're not completely just all pro or nothing. That is the part I worry about. So welcome to the team. I'm not going to disparage anybody for their teams they've hit in the past, but I do want to just put it out there. Like, this is kind of what coaches have to deal with. This is what Pat Stewart, the GM, essentially for Nebraska, has to look at. This is why you have guys like Williams, who was a walk-on, he gets scholarship, and now he hit the portal. The college football that we knew 5 years ago is practically dead. NIL, when I think when we first thought of NIL, was going to be this innocent thing where, well, now to Coldus Crawford, when he came down here, it's like, well, now he can go do commercials. And he did. He did an AC commercial. Brilliant. The Coldest Crawford does a commercial for, an AC company. Makes total sense in the world. That'll be NIL money. I don't think what people anticipated was universities collecting millions of dollars and saying, here's your NIL. You haven't done anything yet, but here's $1 million. That's not NIL. That's just pay for play. Name, image, and likeness. You make money off of your name, image, and likeness. It's not make money off the potential of your name, image, and likeness. And unfortunately, that's what it's become. It's become, here's your money on your potential NIL. As much as I wish the best to Dylan Raiola, who I don't know, I haven't heard anything on where he's going. If it's Oregon, that won't surprise me why you haven't heard anything. But, just assuming we play Dylan Raiola a ton of money. We could probably circle back and ask ourselves, did he really deserve that much? Probably not. Did he deserve some money? Absolutely. I don't know if it was that much. And that's what happens with a lot of these places. You're paying for the potential of their name, image, and likeness. And even then, this is no disrespect to the big boys on the offensive line. Some of these offensive linemen get paid millions of dollars. They're not bringing the school that much revenue. Now, you could argue, well, because of the wins, it pans out to that much. But again, what people thought name, image, and likeness was going to be was players making money off of their name, image, and likeness, not their potential of how good they can play. The lineman isn't creating a ton of jersey sales or making a ton of brand deals, because it's unfortunate, but that's always been the pity of the linemen. They're not getting all the spotlight, but they do the dirty work and they get unnoticed. And yeah, it's unfair, but that's what it was. I'm okay with playing those people, but again, we have to have some sort of balance of what NIL is. Calling it name, image, and likeness, true, but again, it feels like it's the potential of it rather than the actual result of it. Before we wrap things up here, I'll get to this from Go Big Red Captain, since he's a longtime ticket listener, and always appreciate his input here. He talks about, it's all the money in the Wild Wild West of the NIL era. Absolutely right. It has exploded since July 2021, and it's only going to explode more, is my guess, unless someone finally gets an adult in the room, puts some guidelines on it. You still serve the student athletes and do what's best for them, but doing what's best for them isn't just putting millions of dollars in their pocket and saying, play good, and that's all we care about. That's my rant on it. That's the last time I'll talk about it, hopefully for tonight. But don't go anywhere. We'll keep it rolling here on Ticket Weeknights. We still got plenty left to go. Chris Raft, Morning Pearsonell, then me, myself, Nick Whiteman will be joining you late at night. So appreciate everybody listening. Don't go anywhere, though. Like I said, we will keep this thing rolling.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day, because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
If you're tired of the dieting circuit paradox but still want to look, feel, and perform better, you need to get to Nutrition Authority and ask about our nutrition coaching featuring LifeBase. LifeBase takes a complex world of nutrition and makes it simple with real results that last. Stop in to learn more or check us out on mynutritionauthority.com.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets. Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white